cold metal presses against Amara King's temple as rainwater drips from the shattered roof of the abandoned port warehouse, splashing against concrete, already stained with blood. Her wrists burn against the rope cutting into her skin, but it isn't fear making her breath shake. It's the truth she can't hide anymore. Across the floor, Seo Joon is on his knees, hands bound behind his back, blood running from the corner of his mouth. His dark eyes never leave Amara's face. Not even when the gunman circles them slowly, smiling like he's been patient for far too long. Did you really think I wouldn't see it? The man taunts. The way you softened. The way you stopped being careful. Amara swallows hard. 8 weeks. That's all she's had to understand the life growing inside her. 8 weeks of silence. 8 weeks of loving a man she was never supposed to trust. Never supposed to survive. Seo Joon shifts, muscles tightening. Don't touch her, he growls. The gun clicks. Amara lifts her head, voice trembling but unbroken. You can hate me, she says, locking eyes with him. But you already did this to me. The warehouse falls silent. Because the truth is no longer hidden, and the child between them has just changed the rules of life and death. Subscribe to love and loyalties before the truth changes everything. Amara King knew something was wrong the moment the black sedan stopped in front of the Cho estate. Not because of the size of the gates, or the armed men lining the marble steps, or even the way her phone lost signal the instant she stepped out of the car. She knew because the air itself felt heavy, like it had already decided her fate before she opened her mouth. They didn't ask her name. They already knew it. Inside, the house smelled like polished wood and cold authority. Amara was guided into a long room with a single table at its center. At the head sat Seo Joon, dressed in black, sleeves rolled just enough to reveal ink curling along his forearm. He didn't stand when she entered. He didn't smile. He barely looked at her. At first, a man slid a folder across the table. $3 million. Seo Joon said calmly, finally lifting his eyes. Your father's debt. Amara's chest tightened. My father doesn't owe that much. Seo Joon tilted his head. He does now. The words landed like a verdict. Amara flipped open the folder with shaking fingers. Contracts, stamps, official seals, her name printed in bold beside his. She froze. This is a marriage license. It's already filed. Seo Joon replied. Approved. Legal. Her breath stuttered. I haven't agreed to anything. You're here, he said. That's agreement enough. Anger flared through her fear. You can't buy people. Seo Joon leaned back, studying her like a problem he already knew how to solve. I'm not buying you. I'm collecting collateral. The room felt smaller. Suffocating. He explained the rules the way one might explain gravity. Unavoidable, absolute. If she signed, her father lived. Her siblings stayed in school. Their home remained untouched. If she refused, Seo Joon would start with her father, slowly, then move outward. Amara stood abruptly. You're a monster. He didn't deny it. Instead, he rose and walked toward her, stopping just close enough that she could feel his presence. Controlled, dangerous, deliberate. Monsters don't negotiate, he said quietly. I did. Her hands curled into fists. She hated that her body reacted to him. The calm authority in his voice, the certainty. It terrified her more than the threats. She signed. The pen felt heavier than it should have. With every stroke, something inside her cracked. But she didn't cry. She refused to give him that. Mrs. Seo, he said smoothly. She looked up, fury blazing. Don't call me that. He met her gaze without blinking. You'll get used to it. That night, she was taken to his penthouse overlooking the Han River. Glass walls. Marble floors. Silence so loud it rang in her ears. Luxury so extreme it felt unreal, like a museum built to display her isolation. Seo Joon walked her through the space like a warden. Your room, he said, opening a door down the hall. Separate. For now. For now, she echoed. In public, he continued, ignoring her. You will stay at my side. Smile. Touch my arm. Look like you belong to me. And in private, she asked. He paused, eyes darkening. In private, you don't forget who controls your life. Her stomach dropped. She explored her room later and found the closet filled. Designer dresses, heels, jewelry, even lingerie. All in her size. The realization made her dizzy. He had planned for her. Days passed in a blur of rules and quiet terror. Guards everywhere. Doors that locked with biometric scans. A housekeeper who watched her carefully but spoke kindly, as if kindness softened captivity. Seo Joon rarely touched her. But when he did, it was deliberate. A finger lifting her chin. A hand settling at her lower back in public. Possession disguised as protection. At their first public appearance. A private dinner with investors. He played the perfect husband. His hand rested firmly against her spine. His voice softened only when he spoke to her. "You're doing well," he murmured when she answered questions flawlessly. That praise unsettled her more than cruelty would have. On the drive home, silence pressed between them until Seo Joon finally spoke. "They wanted you," he said. She stiffened. "Excuse me." "The way they looked at you," he continued calmly. "Did you enjoy it?" "No," she snapped. His gaze sharpened. "Good." The car stopped at the penthouse. Inside, Seo Joon backed her against the wall. Not touching her, but close enough that she felt trapped. "You belong to me now," he said quietly. "Decide if you'll survive in this world or fight me." Amara lifted her chin, heart pounding. She already knew her answer. Amara learned quickly that Seo Joon's world did not forgive mistakes. Every dinner was a performance. Every room full of men who smiled too easily and watched too closely. She became fluent in silence, in posture, in the art of standing half a step behind him while never appearing small. Seo Joon introduced her simply as his wife. Nothing more. Nothing less. At a private restaurant overlooking the city, investors gathered around a long table polished to a mirror shine. The air smelled of expensive liquor and unspoken threat. Amara felt eyes on her the moment she entered. Curious, assessing, hungry in a way that made her spine stiffen. Seo Joon's hand settled at the small of her back. Firm. Possessive. "Stay close," he murmured, low enough that only she could hear. The men tested her openly. Where was she from really? Was English her first language? Did she understand the kind of world she'd married into? Amara answered calmly, each response precise, dignified. She spoke of Atlanta, of her education, of her work. She refused to shrink. Seo Joon watched her closely, not the way the others did, but like a man measuring risk. When one investor laughed too long, eyes lingering on her legs, Seo Joon's grip tightened imperceptibly. Later, when a hand brushed Amara's arm as they passed, Seo Joon stopped walking. The room stilled. "Do not touch what is mine," he said evenly. No one argued. In the car afterward, Amara stared out the window, heart still racing. "You didn't have to do that?" "Less," he replied. "I did." She turned to him. "Why?" His jaw flexed. "Because I won't have men thinking they can take liberties." "Is that all?" she asked quietly. Seo Joon didn't answer. The days blurred together. Meetings, fittings, dinners. His control never loosened, but something else crept in. Moments where his gaze lingered too long. Where his voice softened unexpectedly. Late one night, she passed his office and found the door ajar. She shouldn't have gone in. But curiosity had always been her weakness. The room was darker than the rest of the penthouse, lit only by the city beyond the windows. Shelves lined the walls, books, files, objects that didn't fit the image of a crime lord. She moved slowly, careful not to leave a trace. That's when she saw it. A slim leather wallet tucked inside a drawer that hadn't been locked. Inside was a badge, not flashy, not ceremonial, official. Korean lettering she couldn't fully read, but the emblem was unmistakable. Government. Her pulse thundered. Seo Joon wasn't careless. He was methodical. This didn't belong here. She slid the drawer shut just as footsteps sounded behind her. "Enjoying my office?" he asked. Amara turned, forcing calm into her expression. "You left the door open." His eyes searched her face. Sharp, unreadable. "Did you find something you shouldn't have?" The question felt like a trap. No, she said evenly. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he stepped closer, close enough that her back brushed the desk. You're learning, he said softly. That can be dangerous. So can you, she replied. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, respect, or fear. That night, sleep refused to come. Amara lay awake replaying every interaction, every slip in his armor. The way he flinched at certain names. The way his phone calls ended abruptly. The way he watched exits even when relaxed. The next week, his jealousy surfaced again. At a charity gala, a man approached Amara while Seo Joon spoke to someone else. Polite, charming. Harmless. Until Seo Joon appeared at her side without warning. His arm slid around her waist. Possessive. Intimate. She's not available, he said calmly. The man laughed awkwardly and retreated. You didn't need to embarrass him. Amara whispered. Seo Joon leaned down, breath warm against her ear. I didn't embarrass him. I warned him. She shivered, and hated that she did. Later that night, in the elevator, the tension finally snapped. Why do you act like I belong to you? She demanded. He looked down at her, expression dark. Because you do. That's not love, she said. No, he agreed. It's control. The honesty stunned her. The doors opened. He didn't follow her out immediately. Instead, he caught her wrist gently. Not painfully. Don't confuse protection with cruelty, he said. This world would eat you alive if I wasn't here. Amara pulled free, heart pounding. And who protects me from you? His gaze softened, just a fraction. That, he said quietly, is the question that keeps me awake. Later, alone in her room, Amara stared at the city lights and the truth she couldn't ignore anymore. Seo Joon wasn't just a crime boss. He was something else entirely. And whatever he was hiding, it was big enough to destroy them both. Amara didn't sleep that night. The badge she'd seen in Seo Joon's office burned behind her eyes every time she closed them. It didn't fit. Nothing about it fit. Crime bosses didn't keep government identification hidden in unlocked drawers. They didn't move like trained operatives. They didn't scan rooms out of instinct, or react to danger before it arrived. And they didn't look at their wives like they were both shield and weakness. By morning, her doubt had sharpened into something dangerous. She waited until the penthouse was quiet. The guards rotated. The housekeeper retreated to the lower floors. Seo Joon was in the shower when Amara slipped into his office and locked the door behind her. This time, she didn't hesitate. She opened drawers, scanned shelves, searched with purpose. Behind a false panel in the wall, she found it. Files neatly stacked, sealed in coded envelopes. Names. Dates. Surveillance photos. Her breath caught. One of them was her. Amara stared at the image of herself walking out of a cafe in Atlanta, laughing at something on her phone. Another showed her outside her childhood home. Another, at a graduation ceremony she barely remembered smiling through. She felt sick. A final file lay beneath the others. Her father's name. Hands shaking, she opened it. Debt records, gambling slips. Then a page stamped in red, manufactured. The room tilted. Everything, every threat, every deal, every step that led her here, had been engineered. The door clicked open behind her. Seo Joon froze when he saw what was spread across the desk. For the first time since she'd met him, his composure shattered. How long? Amara asked quietly. He closed the door slowly. Long enough. You planned this, she said, voice trembling. My father, the debt, the marriage, Wes. The single word hit harder than any lie. Why? She demanded. Why me? Seo Joon exhaled, like a man finally setting down armor that had grown too heavy. My real name isn't Seo Joon, he said. I've been undercover for years, embedded, waiting for the Cho syndicate to make a mistake. Amara laughed bitterly. And I was the mistake. No, he said quickly. You were the solution. He told her everything. How his family had been slaughtered when he was young. How revenge had hollowed him out. How intelligence work had been the only thing keeping him alive. He needed a wife. Someone untouchable, Believable, outside the criminal world. Someone no one would suspect as leverage. Someone like her. I watched you, he admitted. At first, it was reconnaissance. Her nails dug into her palms. And then, she whispered. And then it wasn't, he said. You were kind. Smart. You protected people who couldn't give you anything back. I told myself I was studying patterns, but I memorized your laugh. Your habits. Your mornings. Her chest ached. You obsessed over me, she said. Yes. The honesty broke her more than denial would have. I didn't intend to fall in love, he continued. But I did. And once I did, I panicked. Love makes you careless. Love gets you killed. So you trapped me, Amara said. To keep me close. To keep me safe. And to keep you, he said quietly. The silence between them cracked. You used my life as cover, she said, tears finally spilling. You let me believe I was powerless. That my family would die if I didn't submit. I never would have hurt them, he said. But you let me believe you would, she shot back. That's not protection. That's cruelty. Seo Joon stepped closer. I was afraid. Her laugh broke into a sob. So was I. She wiped her face, anger hardening into resolve. Did you ever think about giving me a choice? No, he said. Because I knew you'd say no. That was the cruelest truth of all. Amara gathered the files, stacking them carefully. I gave up my freedom for a lie, she said. And somewhere along the way, I gave you my heart. His jaw tightened. I never lied about how I feel. That doesn't make it right, she replied. She turned toward the door. Amara, he said urgently. If you walk out, you'll be in danger. She paused. I've been in danger since the moment you decided I was yours. He reached for her hand, then stopped himself. Tell me how to fix this, he said. Her voice was barely a whisper. You can't. Amara left the penthouse with nothing but a small bag and a heart split clean open. As the elevator doors closed, she pressed a hand to her stomach, breath shaking. She hadn't planned to find out this way. Hadn't planned for the nausea, the exhaustion, the missed signs, but she knew now. She was carrying his child, and he didn't know. Seo Joon knew the moment Amara disappeared that the world had shifted. Not because she left the penthouse, but because the systems he trusted went silent. Her phone stopped pinging. The private car assigned to her never reached its destination. The guards he'd secretly placed near her were found unconscious less than an hour later. This wasn't coincidence. It was retaliation. Director Han's voice crackled through Seo Joon's secured line. They know you're compromised. Seo Joon didn't hesitate. They always did. They're moving fast. Han warned. You need to abort. Pull out. Now. Seo Joon looked at the surveillance still frozen on his screen. Amara's face captured mid-turn, unaware she was already being hunted. No, he said quietly. I'm done running. He burned everything in one night. Every alias. Every cover wrote. Every protected informant pipeline he'd spent years building. He sent the final data drop himself. Locations, names, ledgers. Enough to dismantle the syndicate entirely. Then he walked straight into the fire. Amara was taken to an abandoned port district under the guise of a safe meeting. She knew it was a trap the moment the warehouse doors slammed shut behind her. The man who stepped out of the shadows smiled slowly. You really thought he'd let you go, he mocked. You're his weakness. Amara lifted her chin even as her hands were bound. You're already dead, she said calmly. Maybe, he replied, but not before he watches. Seo Joon arrived without backup, no armor, no disguise, just him. He raised his hands the moment he entered, eyes locking on Amara's instantly. Relief flashed across his face, raw unguarded, before steel replaced it. Let her go, he said evenly. The gunman laughed. You gave up everything for her. Your cover. Your cover. Your revenge. Yes, Seo Joon replied. And I'd do it again. The gun lifted. Time slowed. Seo Joon moved without thinking, stepping directly in front of Amara as the shot rang out. Pain exploded across his side, white hot and blinding, but he stayed standing, arms wide, shielding her completely. Another shot. He dropped to one knee. Amara screamed his name. Seo Joon turned just enough to meet her eyes. "Stay behind me," he commanded, always. The warehouse erupted. Gunfire, shouting, boots pounding concrete as tactical teams flooded in from every entrance. The syndicate's men fell fast. Years of careful planning collapsing in seconds. The man who'd orchestrated it all tried to flee. Seo Joon shot him in the shoulder. "Run," he said coldly. "So you remember who ended you." When the smoke cleared, Seo Joon collapsed. Amara was on the ground beside him instantly, hands shaking as she pressed against his wound. Blood soaked through her fingers. "Stay with me," she begged. "Please." His breathing was ragged, but his eyes were clear. "You're safe," he whispered. "That's all that matters." "No," she said fiercely. "You matter." Sirens wailed in the distance as medics rushed in. Director Han appeared briefly, eyes sharp but relieved. "It's over," he said. "The case is airtight." Seo Joon barely nodded before the pain pulled him under. He woke to white walls and beeping monitors. The first thing he saw was Amara. She sat at his bedside, eyes red, jaw set in determination. She didn't smile when he woke. "You're an idiot," she said softly. His lips curved faintly. "You're here." She nodded. "I couldn't leave." Silence stretched between them, heavy, fragile. "I gave up everything," he said quietly. "My revenge, my life as I knew it. I don't regret it." Amara swallowed. "That doesn't erase what you did." "I know." He reached for her hand, stopping just short. "But I need you to know something." She met his gaze. "I didn't save you because you were mine," he said. "I saved you because I love you. And because losing you would destroy me." A tear spilled down her cheeks. She took his hand this time and placed it gently against her stomach. His brow furrowed. "Amara." Her voice trembled, but didn't break. "You can hate me," she said softly. "But you already did this to me." Understanding slammed into him. His breath hitched. "Are you?" "Less," she whispered. 8 weeks. A Seo Joon froze. Then he broke. A sound tore from his chest, half sob, half laugh, as his free hand covered his face. When he looked at her again, his eyes were shattered open with wonder and terror and love all at once. "Our child," he breathed. Amara nodded. "I didn't tell you because I didn't know if I could trust you with us." He squeezed her hand. "Reverent, you can." She leaned forward, resting her forehead against his. "Then don't ever lie to me again." "Never," he vowed. "Not even to save myself." She kissed him gently. Slow, forgiving, real. For the first time, there were no lies between them. Only love earned in blood and truth. The house is quiet in a way Amara once thought didn't exist. Not the heavy silence of guarded halls, or the watchful stillness of danger, but a gentle quiet, filled with morning light and the soft hum of life continuing. The windows are open. Curtains sway. Somewhere in the distance, a city lives without knowing what they survived. Amara stands in the nursery, one hand resting on her stomach, the other smoothing the fabric of a half-finished crib. Pastel walls, books stacked low. A future carefully, lovingly built. Behind her, Seo Joon kneels, not in surrender, not in fear, but in awe. His palm rests against her belly, reverent, trembling. When the baby kicks, his breath catches sharply. Again, he whispers, eyes shining. As if on command, it happens once more. Seo Joon laughs, soft, disbelieving, and presses his forehead against her stomach, speaking quietly in Korean first, then in English. Promises of safety, of honesty, of showing up every single day. Amara watches him, heart full and steady. This man once ruled with silence and threat. Now he asks permission before touching her. He checks doors out of habit. But he no longer lives behind them. The past still exists, but it no longer owns him. Later, they sit together on the couch, fingers intertwined. No guards, no weapons, just truth. "I didn't know love could feel like this," Seo Joon admits. Amara smiles softly. "That's because this isn't control." She leans into him, resting her head against his chest. His heartbeat is calm, present. Loyalty isn't possession. Love isn't control. And safety isn't something demanded at gunpoint. It's something built, choice by choice, after the worst is over. Outside, the sun dips lower, painting the room gold. Inside, a family waits for a child who will never inherit fear. Only honesty, courage, and a love that was earned the hard way. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Love and Loyalties and comment which couple you want next.